There we go. Hello, everybody. Picks from Joe's. If you can believe this, how about that? We've got 2 games left in the football season. Two. Well, okay. 2 games left in the regular season. We are going to be bowl eligible. As a Twitter friend and work colleague, Dalton Coates likes to say, speak it into existence. We're going to become bowl eligible. We're going to become bowl eligible. La, 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 la. We're going to become bowl eligible. And thank you, shout out to the Cowboys Ride for Free duo of Philip Slavin and Joel Penfield for depressing the shit out of me 5 minutes into your podcast. You kind of start building me up. We got a nice little human interest story. James Washington at the women's basketball game with his girlfriend, not sitting in the VIP seats, just bought a general admission ticket. What a dude. Most James Washington thing to do. And I'm feeling uplifted. This is great. And then freaking 1 minute later, Philip's like, OSU's defense, no. OSU's offense, not going to keep up. Can't stop the run. We're going to have a bunch of penalties. And you just suck the life out of me. Oh, never mind. I predict they lose this weekend too. But what little hope I had, you just sucked it out of me. Oh my God. I mean, that was over with before it started. Oh, anyway, before we talk about that, real quick, shout out to Hoops. I'll say this. Look, I've said this. I've tweeted it. It's going to be a rough season. These guys are really young, and your captains, your 3 senior players, are not any one individually. I mean, Cam McGriff's the closest. Any one of them individually is not the kind of guy who's just going to assert his will on a basketball game. Cam can get kind of close to that, but Lindsey's not aggressive enough. And Dzagwa is, if a team wants to, they could take him out of the game. So, we'll see what happens. But there's some fun young players on the floor. It was really nice to see Michael Weathers. Hopefully he's got his stuff straightened out and he's, swimming above board now and, that he'll be fine. Because when he came in the game, he looked like a different player on the court, right? I mean, they tried to press him a little bit and he just went right by him. So that provides some help to, likely, what at the hell ever? Somebody tell me what that is. Is it likely? We're not getting comments over here. New whole potentially inappropriate messages. Not now. I don't get any messages. People aren't saying anything. Say something in the comments, damn it. So I can, let me slide this over here so I don't have to turn and look away so much. There we go. A little better. So anyway, just shout out to the Hoops. I think they'll be fun to watch. I think they'll steal a game. I think I'll go back to my comments in our sort of preseason basketball roundtable that had like 5,000 questions. Anyway, I think they're going to win a game. They're going to win some games they shouldn't, right? They'll win a few games they shouldn't. They're going to lose some games they shouldn't lose. I think if they get anywhere close to 10 wins on the season, anything past that is just absolute gravy. But it's also a little bit of a crapshoot with the rest of the Big 12. I think after Kansas, I don't think it's real clear if there's anybody who's going to be like super dominant outside of Kansas. Like West Virginia was really good last year. I don't know if they're going to be really good this year again. So I think it'd be very interesting to watch this non-conference thing, until we get to after the holidays when Big 12 play starts. See how everybody does. A lot of good non-conference matchups. to kind of flesh out, what's everybody going to be in the rest of the Big 12. And then that could give us a pretty good idea of what this team could do, young as they are. And obviously when they get to Big 12 play, there's one or two more players. Well, they didn't know. Weathers was a transfer. He's in. And then you've got Jones, who will be able to play after the 16th of December, I believe, after the end of the semester. So anyway, let's get to football. There's only what I think are really two really big games. There's an interesting game, and then there's two just huge games. Okay, humongous games. And then there's some real crap. So a pretty good slate. You only got one 12 o'clock game. You've got two 3:30 games. You've got a night game, one at 7:30, one at 8. But I'm sorry, but the Longhorn Network's existence right here this is just an example of where this is shit. That's the stupidest freaking network deal. I mean, of course, when the game got scheduled and it got put on the Longhorn Network, who would have thought that Iowa State and Texas would be playing the biggest game of the weekend in the Big 12 on the second to last weekend of the regular season? You were all thinking, that's going to be a crap game. Who wants to watch it? Put it on LHN. Nobody will get it anyway. Or most of the country won't. So anyway, 12 o'clock game, TCU at Baylor. I think it's an interesting game just from an intrigue standpoint. Baylor's favored by 2, pretty much a toss-up at home. Over-under's 52.5. Yeah, I think could be a lowish scoring game. I don't think you're going to get like a 30-20 game. I think might be 30-17 maybe, or low 20s. I feel pretty comfortable going with the under there. Be really interesting to see how TCU's defense manages against Baylor's offense. They are just decimated. I don't think I've ever seen a program so decimated by injuries. I think I saw a tweet out this past week, or maybe it was the week before, or maybe it was over the weekend, that Patterson noted that he had 11 scholarship, was it safeties or defensive backs or something, and he was down to like 4. I mean, that's just crazy. All from injuries. And it's just an example of what can happen. I said this several weeks ago, where you've got, seriously, I mean, you take a team like TCU, I don't think it's any different than Oklahoma State. If you have just a horrible experience with injuries across the board, it just devastates your season, because you might be 1 or 2 deep. You might be 2 deep at a few skill positions, obviously, and a couple of key positions on defense. But you start dropping flies, man, where you're 1 deep, and then you just don't have much behind that right now. You start having the domino effect across the board, and you just don't have anything. I mean, it's really tough. Anyway, so that'll be an interesting game. The line, I'd obviously lean towards Baylor, but that under, I think I'd definitely take the under. 52.5, I'd definitely take the under on that. That game is 12 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. It's the only Big 12 noon game, noon Eastern this weekend. Then you got 2 3:30 games. OSU's obviously won with West Virginia. We'll talk about that in a bit. 3:30 p.m. on Eastern on ESPNU. Texas Tech at Kansas State. Texas Tech, they just need to keep things moving here. I mean, this is a kind of a game it's dangerous. Talk to us about it. Shit's dangerous up there. They had a huge game last week with Texas. Could you have a little letdown going up there? We'll see. They're favored by 6. Over-under's 57. 57, 34, 23, 33, 24. God, that feels kind of close. That feels like it's kind of right on the edge. Texas Tech by 6. Probably take that. Probably take Tech, give them the points. I don't know. They've got their second Q. Yeah, be interesting. I just almost would stay away from that game. I think I might just stay completely away from that game. Texas Tech should win, but God, you got Duffy at QB. I mean, he played well bringing him back against Texas. But is he going to do that on the road at K-State? I don't know. That just seems like a funky game to me. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. I mean, this is what you get. This is the stupidest shit Big 12 thing on the planet right here. If there's ever a game you should be hiding on some no-name, vast majority of people don't get it network like LHN, it should be OU and Kansas, right? Kansas in Norman. I mean, OU's defense is bad, and I mean bad, historically bad. But come on. That game should be hiding somewhere, but yet it's the national game on Fox. That's brutal. That's a brutal representation of the Big 12. Brutal. Especially if OU bumbles around a little bit, Kansas does something against their defense. That's just a horrible game to have on national TV. Horrible. 7:30 Eastern, over under 69. I think I'd take the over. OU favored by 35.5. Yeah. That's I think I could go with that. Beat them by 7 touchdowns. No, 5 touchdowns, I mean. I could go with that. OU and lay the points. Over under, take the over, I think. Kansas will score, but I think OU's going to just score a lot. Unless you want to go with the letdown week, then you take OU or you take Kansas, lay the points, and take the under. Could do that. Who the hell knows? But it's such shit that be the national game on Fox Saturday night. That's terrible. The other game, which is just I think the game of the week in the Big 12 without question, hiding on the Longhorn Network at 8 p.m. Eastern time. All you folks in the Midwest can enjoy it, but I won't be getting it up here in Connecticut, so we're going to be dependent on Twitter. Unless somebody wants to share their dish with me, their dish password or something where I can log in and watch. 16 Iowa State at number 15 Texas. Both teams 5-2. Line is 2.5. There is no over/under published on it yet. That's interesting. I mean, this is on ESPN. They're usually pretty good. There's an over/under on everything except that game. Texas essentially getting the home field advantage. I think Iowa State's defense better than Texas' defense. I think this will be. I just feel like it'll be a low-scoring game. Both teams 5-2. Vying to be the spoilers. I mean, the winner of this game is guaranteed nothing. Okay? But you are in position to spoil the loser of the spoiler to the loser of OU West Virginia next weekend. Unless Oklahoma State pulls off the upset, which they could, I think. If you look at the 2-5 teams in the conference, I know they lost to Kansas State. Oklahoma State's definitely the most dangerous 2-5 team in the conference. I think of the teams in the bottom half of the conference, Oklahoma State's a team nobody really wants to play. The teams in the top half, I mean, Texas Tech got away with it. Iowa State got away with it. But coming down here late, OU had their hands full, could have lost that game just as easy as they won it. And West Virginia, they know what's going on coming into this game. I mean, they're not, I don't think they'll sleepwalk into this game at all. So yeah, so the scenario is, assuming Iowa State and OU win out. All right. If Iowa State wins, then a West Virginia loss against the Sooners knocks West Virginia out of the title game. Iowa State goes to the title game. Okay. Flip side, Texas wins. Now OU. If they lose against West Virginia, they're out of the title game. Okay. So a couple of scenarios there. The scenario would be if OSU upsets West Virginia this weekend, okay, then they have to beat OU, okay, in order to get in. They have to beat OU. There's no choice. Even if Iowa State wins, no, right? If Iowa State wins and West Virginia loses this weekend, then a West Virginia win over OU wouldn't matter. Iowa State would be in if Iowa State wins out. So yeah, I mean, if that would be brutal. That would be brutal, because if West Virginia lost and Iowa State won, then the only way West Virginia gets in is if Iowa State loses. And who do they play? Who do they play on the last weekend? They play Kansas State in Ames. They won't lose that game. No way. So that's huge. Texas. Oh wait, did they play Baylor? Oh no, they already played Baylor. Right. They're at Kansas. They won't lose that. I don't think they lose that game at Kansas. Although that would just be sweet, wouldn't it? So yeah, huge game. I think Iowa State takes the game. I think it's a really low scoring affair, but I think Iowa State's defense is better, and I think offensively they're probably a little better. So on to the afternoon game, the other afternoon game, 3:30 Eastern, national game on ABC, I think, or at least shown most places. West Virginia at Oklahoma State, over under is 73. West Virginia is favored by 4.5. So essentially a touchdown on the road type of a line. I predicted OSU loses this game 31-17. I'm going to stick with it. I just think they're going to have West Virginia is going to show up ready to play. All right. Dana Holgorsen will be ready to pull out all the stops, right? They got to win. They have to win. Oklahoma State, I think, is going to be flat. I just think they're going to come out flat, and I don't think that if they get down 2 touchdowns, can their defense shut it down? I don't know. Their defense, I tell you what, and I'm going with Adam Lunt on this, man. If you take away the first quarter and a half of Bedlam, Oklahoma State's defense did enough to win that game. All right. They did enough. OU scored 14 points in the second half. Okay. If they can do that to that offense, they ought to be able to do that to this offense, because this offense, OU's running game and offensive line is better than West Virginia's running game and offensive line. Okay. So and Will Greer's not going to run around like a jitterbug like Kyler Murray. So honestly, I mean, if Oklahoma State's defense can slow them down, I mean, the offense has to play clean. I mean, the offense going to have to play a game like they played in Bedlam. You have to play a game like they played in Bedlam. I think it's all hands on deck. I think it's the entire playbook is on deck. OSU, don't wait till next weekend. If you're going to do it, try to get, you're going to try to win this game and get bowl eligible, man. Don't. The last thing you want is to have go to TCU on senior day over Thanksgiving, weekend. That's tough. Are we getting a response on Twitter here? What the hell? What's our nonsense here? Somebody's tweeting. Nah, there's that tweet going around about Mahomes putting ketchup in his mac and cheese and putting ketchup on. What else was it? I can't remember what else it was. He was putting ketchup on eggs or something. I don't know. He was putting ketchup on something. Everybody was getting fired up about. It was funny. So anyway, over under 73. Listen, I think I would take West Virginia, lay the points. Over under 73. I don't think so. I think this will be a low scoring game. These two teams historically have not combined. They've had moderately high scoring games. So 30s ish types games. Only a couple of times have they gone over that number. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I think I would take West Virginia. Of course, that's me just saying if I bet against OSU, they'll play well. Oh, superstition's a brutal thing. You got to see Oklahoma State roll the shit out like they did in Bedlam. Say misdirection's a bad word. Causing conflict for the defense, sending guys both directions. Quick passing, a lot of variable route structures. I thought that was without question the best game they had doing it. Of course, that was probably without question the worst defense they've played all year and will play all year. That was terrible. OU's defense is awful. Just god awful. God awful. Terrible stuff. So take that for what it is. Is OSU's offense that good? Probably not. So we'll see what they do. West Virginia's defense is definitely better. I think it's going to provide a test, so we'll see what happens. My score prediction is 31-17. That's what I'm going with. And, let's hope we get something going and pull one out, a little upset this weekend. Anybody's traveling to the game, it's senior day, should be a good atmosphere. Hopefully they can get up for senior day, come out with some energy. Pretty interesting. Brailford and Hill not walking for senior day. If Hill comes back, does somebody transfer? If LD Brown transfers, okay. But what if JD King transfers? Because his production has gone down this year. And that kid's a player. He's tough. He's a kid should be getting more time on the field. And you're going to end up with the same situation this year or next year as this year. I'd be shocked if you didn't get a major transfer out of the backfield in that regard. Anyway, that's it. You guys travel safe. Enjoy. We've got only one more regular season game after this, and then cross your fingers. We got a bowl game. We'll obviously be back for some basketball, a little bit, maybe more when we get into Big 12 play. But anyway, we waited all year for this, right? We waited all year, and it goes right by. And here we are, literally, at the most one game, well, at the most 2 games away, and maybe 1 game away from off season. And oh God. Anyway, take care, travel safe, enjoy the game. Go Pokes. Let me find the right camera.